Good morning, everybody. Welcome to October's webinar. We're just going to give everybody a few minutes to come into the room. So just to make sure the chat function and everything else is working, do pop a couple of bits in the chat box for us. Tell us where you're joining us from this morning. That's always a good one. I won't ask about the weather because everybody's clearly going to say that it's grey and miserable wherever you are in the country. But just tell us where you are while we give everybody a chance to come into the room. Oh, Karen, no, it can't be sunny in Scotland, Karen, surely not. But lovely to see you, Karen. So Scotland is getting all the sun again, and we're in the doom and gloom down south here in England. So give everybody another 30 seconds and we will get underway. While we do that, I shall just get slides ready for us to go. So just Karen at the moment, sharing where she is. Anybody else? Whereabouts are you in the country this morning? And we only want to know if it's not dull and gloomy with you. But at least I know the chat box is working. So that's a good start. Right, let's kick off. We are, as always, on a tight schedule. We want to make sure everybody can get off at the time we promised to you all. So welcome to October's App of the Month webinar with Citrus HR today. If anybody made it to Accountex in London in May, you will have seen a version of this. We're going to tweak it a little bit. Time's moved on, things have changed, but it was a fantastic session, really talking about how, as accountants and bookkeepers, we have a really good opportunity to offer additional services to our client with minimal investment, dead easy for us to do with the right support in our corners. So we're going to talk about that during the session today. We love these to be interactive, so any questions, please pop them in the Q&A box. As Rachel and Paula, who I'll introduce to in a moment, are chatting away, I'll keep an eye on the Q&A box and throw any questions we have in for the session. So let's get underway. We should be done by 11:15, all being well, unless we get bombarded with those questions, and we will make sure that we answer them all for you. So quick introductions for anybody that doesn't know who I am. I'm Will Farnell. I'm founder at Farnell Clarke and one of the co-founders at App Advisory Plus. And I'm delighted today to be joined by Rachel and Paula. So I'll ask them to just give you a quick introduction. Rachel, I'll come to you first. Tell everybody who you are, please.
Thanks, Will. Hi, everybody. I'm Rachel. I am the head of marketing at Citrus HR. And my background, really, what I do is I specialise in helping brands kind of capitalise on their marketplace, increase revenue, and working with small businesses and accountancy firms, really, to help increase service offerings.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Rachel. And Paula, good morning.
Oh, thanks, Will. Morning. So I'm Paula. I work for Farnell Clarke as senior HR advisor. The main part of my role is liaising with clients, supporting them on all their HR employment matters, providing them with advice, and also sort of scoping for new clients and sort of bringing in new leads for potential clients.
Excellent. Thank you, Paula. So what we hope to do today is give you a flavour of what we've been able to do at Farnell Clarke in terms of our HR journey, in terms of how we started and what we're doing now. And Rachel is going to share some perspectives from other firms that Citrus are working with as well, just to really demonstrate that this is a very viable option for any of you to pick up and run with like tomorrow. That's how quick you can get this thing up and running. So really excited to share some of the thinking around that over the next kind of 40 minutes or so. So what are we going to talk about? This is, in summary, what we're going to cover for you during the session today. We've done a bit of welcome. We're almost done with intros. We'll get Rachel to introduce Citrus in just a moment. But we're going to talk about why certainly I and clearly Paula and definitely Rachel think that as accountants and bookkeepers, you should be be interested in HR services. So we'll talk about some of the opportunities there. We'll talk about what we did at Farnell Clarke to launch our HR services, which has kind of been a slow build over a number of years now. We'll talk about our approach now and what we're doing with the clients that we're supporting with what we like to refer to as kind of full integrated HR solutions. And we'll get Rachel to share some of the other best practice of what she's seeing with the firms they're working with. We'll talk about the idea that payroll is the start point here. So starting with payroll is why this is so straightforward for accountants and bookkeepers to layer this into the services that you already do. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about how you can market your HR offering. Rachel will talk to you a little bit about what Citrus HR can do with accountants, the tools they have, but also the added value services that they can deliver, which is why I'm really comfortable saying this is a really easy thing for all of you to do. Q&A, lots of questions, answers, but chuck them in as we go through the session. We'll answer them as we go, because they're more likely to be relevant at that point in time. So that's our plan. You're going to see very few slides today. The slides are going to disappear in just a moment, and we'll bring them back on when we wrap up at the end. This is a conversation to really share some of the things that we think you can be doing right now in your firms. So, Rachel, just in case anybody doesn't know, can you tell us a little bit about Citrus HR, what you do, why you were created, problems you're solving, all of that kind of thing?
I'd love to. So Citrus HR, we were founded approximately 10 years ago by two of our founders were a man called David Lester, who's a bit of a tech genius. So he built our HR software, and Kirsty, who is a HR expert. So what we wanted to do, really, they saw a gap in the market where small businesses didn't have access to the HR support that they needed. It was too expensive, or the software wasn't really usable for them because it was really customizable and too heavy-handed, so to speak. So that's why they created Citrus HR. So we work pretty much strictly with small businesses up to about 100 employees. There's some exceptions, but and what we do really is give them access to experts in HR, employment law. We offer them the HR software, and really what it's about is providing unlimited advice, guidance, employment contracts, policies, everything that a small business needs to make sure they're legally compliant, that they've got access to help whenever they need it and advice, and that they can also start to grow their business on the software side as well. So making sure that they have everything they need in one place. And one of our key things there is really making it affordable for small businesses too, because that's one other thing that was at the time certainly a massive gap in the market. Everything was just too expensive. So that's how we were born, and that's still predominantly what we do. But we work in a lot of other ways with accountancy firms as well, which I know we're going to go into in more detail. But ultimately, it's about making sure that small businesses have what they need to help them grow and remain legally compliant.
Excellent. Thank you, Rachel. And I'm going to mention this a number of times during the session, but one of the benefits that Citrus have is that as an accounting partner of Citrus, you can get a version of the software to use for your own firm, and that's free, isn't it, Rachel?
It is indeed, yes. Yeah.
So as a start point in terms of the software element of what you do, it acts as your HR database. You can do your performance management, track your holiday leave, and all of those kind of things in the solution. That's correct, isn't it, Rachel?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, everything really. Yeah. We kind of call it a hire to retire piece. So everything from recruitments through to pensions, and yeah, so it's a full suite. It's built for every kind of eventuality really for you.
Perfect.
We do also offer for our accountancy partners, we do offer a discount on the service as well, which isn't suitable for everybody because a lot of people have that sorted, such as Farnell Clarke, but there is that on offer as well.
And this is the beauty, isn't it? And we're going to cover this during the session, is like you can take as much or as little as you need working with Citrus. So at one end, there's the software, which is great. As Rachel said, it's very cost effective, easy way for you to provide tech for your clients to help them run their own HR functions. And you can do what we've done in terms of recruit really great HR people to deliver our support services. But equally, Citrus can provide that for you as part of their accounting partner offer. So for everybody that's on this call right now, if you're not already using Citrus, if you've got a team, then it is an absolute no-brainer for you to go out. We're going to give you a link at the end of this to effectively start the process of getting a free version of Citrus for you to use in your firm. So value ticked straight away for all of you attending the webinar today. So I said I was going to take slides out, so I've given everybody a chance to see those slides, and let's now kind of show our smiley faces and get into the conversation. So for me, I'm going to ask Paula in a moment to talk about kind of how we, even though it's before her time, how we started working with HR services. But for me, many of you listening will probably know I've just written my second book, which is called Human Firm. So people are really important to me in terms of the way we think about what we do for clients, but also what we do for our team. So this is like the perfect webinar. We're talking about how do we add value to our clients, but equally how do we make sure that we're recognizing the goals, aspirations, and everything else of our internal team in terms of giving them the career development opportunities and all of the other things, and having tools that help us do that in a really open, transparent, and efficient way. But going back to kind of when we started, for me, and if you've seen some of the LinkedIn posts for this session, you'll have seen me talk about the fact that we're really well placed. If you're running payroll for your clients, this is like again, use the term again, it's a no-brainer. You know, your clients are telling you when they take on their first employee, which is a golden opportunity. So they say, hey, I'm just about to take on my first employee. What should I do? And it's probably not being unkind to say that most people that are providing a payroll service will say, well, we need to get you a payroll scheme set up, and we need the P46, or we need the P45, or whatever it is to make sure that we can get them set up in the payroll system. But we're missing the opportunity to say, you're taking on your first employee. You know, there are lots of things that you have to think about in doing this. Would you like a conversation with somebody to help you understand what your obligations are? It's really, really easy. But it goes on when somebody says, we're just taking on another employee. So we've gone from 1 to 2, or we've gone from 4 to 5. What changes? What are the things that you should be thinking about in terms of employment contracts, employee handbooks, procedures, policies, and all of this stuff that we're seeing the opportunity. But for many of us, we will say, well, that's kind of HR. We need an HR person to sort that. But let's control the conversation. So just in terms of going slightly off track before I do bring Paula in, sorry, Paula, we hear a lot of talk about, as accountants, we've got to focus on advisory. We've got to focus on adding value to our clients. And when I talk about advisory and what advisory means to me, we will be doing advisory when in our accounting firm, when every client we've got picks up the phone and asks every question they've got. And it kind of doesn't matter whether we can answer it or not, because it gives us one of 3 options. We can either answer the query then and now on the phone. We can say, yes, we can help with that, and we'll get you a proposal to let you know what it's going to cost and how we can support. Or we can't do that, but we know someone that can. So that's the point. Advisory to me is simply when every client comes to us and says, I need help with this. And the way we get that is we build great relationships. So this is just another example of how we can add real value to the clients that we serve. So, Paula, I'm going to take a breath for a second. I know it's before your time, but you know the story a little bit. So,
I do.
What's been our journey at Farnell Clarke in terms of where we started with an element of HR support to clients to where we are now?
Yeah, absolutely. So as Will said, there was a definite opportunity there that was recognised, and it was how sort of then the approach to take with that, without sort of investing in employing lots of staff straight away with sort of a huge investment. So it was a matter of sort of testing the water really initially. So to start with, a consultant was brought in, and then that was obviously white labeled to clients. So as soon as it was a part-time basis. So like I say, not a huge investment to start with, completely testing the water. And it was kind of recognised through payroll. So as well said, if someone suddenly said they've got a new starter, or they've got to deal with like a resignation from someone or something, all those kind of typical HR conversations that, yeah, initially they're a payroll thing, but actually they can lead on to a lot more employment advice and stuff like that. So the consultant was able to sort of tag into those bits, and we could see how those services would sort of grow. That initial thing actually grew quite quickly, I believe. So we did end up with, although there was some ad hoc clients, there was also some retained clients as well that they were working with sort of on a consistent basis, and that did start to grow, which was great, because it meant the model was kind of working really. So that was quite successful, and I think the retained clients were bringing in quite a bit of value to the business as well, and it's regular work as well. So a lot of our retained clients are kind of a regular amount of hours a week. They might have additional sort of project stuff, which is scoping things like contracts and stuff like that, but there's definitely a massive scope and a massive sort of opportunity of things that can be offered. So it initially started with a consultant. Because that went very well, we then hired an HR director, and she was brought on board to basically do a bit of 50-50. So she was supporting the internal team, but also looking at how the model for HR support would work kind of going forward. So that was sort of able to sort of scope it, look at how we sort of build those relationships with the clients and stuff like that. So that's what happened. And then that's going well. So then my role was brought in. So although it's been over a few years, it's grown actually quite quickly, really, to sort of talk, because it is working. And we do have, so my role is just supporting clients with all their sort of HR matters. And yeah, we just sort of build those relationships with the clients, really look at what they actually need. And then, like I say, either it's ad hoc basis for sort of very small firms, and then newer ones we can kind of do a bit more of a retained service with. So
yeah, perfect. Thank you, Paula. And we've had a question in from Karen, and Karen says, we don't offer payroll services, but I'm interested in using Citrus for my own team. Do you have other firms who use Citrus with clients, even if they don't have a payroll offering? I'm pretty sure the answer to that, Rachel, is yeah, absolutely. And I think the point here as well is that I'm sure many of you that are on the call, regardless of whether you're doing payroll or not, will have had clients that have come to you and said, I've got a problem with a member of staff. Can you help? Or do you know anyone that can help? Because the research is out there behind doctors and nurses. We are, I hate the term, the most trusted professional advisor. So many clients don't know who else to turn to, so they will instinctively turn to you, and assume that because you're there, that providing business support services, professional services to them, that you can do this stuff. So the opportunity is certainly there. So the answer, Karen, yes. Sign up for your free account. No problem at all. Paula, you kind of summarized that really nicely. So yes, we tried it with kind of white labeled external consultant. That's one option for you. Another option is you can use Citrus, and they will deliver those services for you. So the point here is that you don't have to make a big investment here. You don't have to do what we did and go out and hire a Paula on day one. You can build it gradually, but you will soon see that when you start talking to clients about this, the external alternative opportunities and options for them are limited and expensive. But in terms of the stuff you're doing now, Paula, can you give us a couple of examples of kind of the type of work we're doing, and perhaps some of the retainers, kind of what the value of those retainers are?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with that, with the sort of, retained contracts and stuff. Obviously, the value of having those is you can sort of predict the kind of work for a start. You sort of know exactly how much you're kind of doing, so you can kind of balance things around that. But one of our clients, I think their yearly rate is around 15,000 to 17,000 a year, and that's we kind of have sort of weekly meetings with those and stuff. And what we tend to do for clients is we review those contracts on a 3-monthly basis. So we're kind of monitoring roughly how many hours we're spending for them. And then we can kind of just make sure that they're still getting what they need. Obviously, some months they might need a little less, but then other months, if they've had something happen, like I think one of them, we had like a disciplinary sort of thing, which we ended up quite heavily involved in because it was the first time the company had been through something like that. So that month was a lot heavier than other months they'd had with us. But actually, it often sort of balances now, but it's just kind of keeping an eye on that and working with them to make sure they're getting everything they kind of need, really. So yeah, we kind of sort of work with those clients like that. And it's definitely sort of, you know, definitely bringing in a good revenue when you've got those kind of ongoing clients, definitely.
Yeah. So I'm just going to have to kind of reiterate that, because it's the kind of thing that I think warrants reiterating. So what we're saying here is we've got retained clients that are paying us a decent retained fee for accounting services, but then we've got examples of clients that are paying another 15 to 17 grand a year for retained HR services as well. And I don't want to kind of underplay again the fact that these two services do fit so nicely hand in hand together. The reason that you get hounded by people like IFAs and everything else is because of the power that we have within our existing client bases, clients that already trust us. They have faith in what we deliver. So therefore, it's much easier for them to make a decision on buying additional services from people that they already know, like, and trust. So don't underestimate the power of selling into your existing client base, particularly because it's much easier to sell to. You are selling, but I like to use the term adding additional value. So finding other ways that we can deliver value to our clients, and the byproduct of that is that we generate more revenue for ourselves. So what we're doing is we're not saying, let's look at more stuff we can sell to our clients. We're saying we have an opportunity here to deliver HR services that are going to make an impact on you, and the benefit to us is that we generate new revenue from it. So thank you for that, Paul. And Rachel, so what else have you got other firms doing? How are you working with other firms? Because we've given one example here. Yeah. We utilize Citrus HR from a software point of view. We've chosen to kind of deliver services ourselves through a number of different routes over the years. But how are you working with other firms? How are they utilizing it, and what benefits are they seeing?
Yeah, so many different ways. So okay, yeah, so as you guys were just talking about the white label part, that is just to give a bit more background from the Citrus perspective on that would provide firms with software that they would sell as their own, they would support as their own. It would be their piece of software, branded as required, and your customers wouldn't know we're involved, basically. And that's kind of the idea behind the white label. So that's one option. But what we found was a lot of firms didn't want the hassle of supporting customers off the back of it. That sounds awful, but you know what I mean? If they don't know the software inside out, you know, it's an added level of service that you might not be set up to offer. So there are other ways. So we have a lot of partners who just want to refer people to us, who use us for themselves or have heard good things, and they just want somebody that they can pass these inquiries to. And there's a lot of different reasons behind that. Part of it, if you are running payroll, Karen, I know that you're not, but one of the things you can do if you're added on as a partner onto their piece of software, you can access any information you need for payroll. So that end of month, when you're running payroll and you're trying to collect all that information from your customers, you can go in and get all of that straight away. So that's a nice, easy win for you as well. So that's one thing that a lot of our partners do love using it for, and their customers, because they don't have to rush around getting all of the information together. What we do in that situation basically is if people refer clients to us, they get a discount. So what can happen is either they can pass it on to the customer to get the discount, they can earn commission, so we can pay it to the accountant as commission, or alternatively, some like to donate it to charity. So to each their own, there's lots of options there. But what we wanted about a year, 18 months ago, was to really bring something that was in between the two. So something that the partner, that the accountancy firm could own, something that could help them build their revenue even further, but also didn't have the added pressure of providing the support themselves. So that was a lot of feedback that we had from some of our partners. So we created what we call Powered by Citrus. So ultimately, it's the white labeled software, but we provide all of the support. And that's for the software and for the HR service as well. So what you can do there is you can have either or. So some people will want software, some will want the service, but you as the accountancy firm or bookkeeper would invoice directly to the customer. So you would own the software, you would sell it to them, and you would do all of the invoicing, and then we would invoice you with that discount, but we'd service the customer. So we would treat them as if they were a direct Citrus HR customer. They'd get exactly the same service, exactly the same support on the software side. So everything that they need. And it's really interesting, actually, because what we've found is that firms our partners have found that their clients want them to run everything. So Will, I don't know if you've experienced this, or Paula, same with you, everything from like pulling reports on the system to checking policies for them. With the amount of accountancy firms we've spoken to who said, somebody's asking me for an employment law contract and I've priced myself out because I just don't want to do it, but they're so desperate that they'll do it. And that's happened time and time again. We've found that so many times. So it's great for them to be able to say, here you go, it's really affordable. It's monthly rolling contracts, which is another big thing for us as well, because we believe in the service we deliver. So, and it's just a real buy-in for people. So what it's giving to the partner, to the accountancy firm, is that extra service offering with basically no stress, because we take care of all of it, which is just lovely. But when they want everything, when they want the reports being pulled, when they want the policies checked, all of that can be made easy with the software as well. So you can have that access level to do that for them, or you can direct them to do it themselves. So it really varies. So some of our partners literally just want to go speak to Citrus, off you go, tell them that I sent you, and that's it, and that's fine. And others really want to be more heavily involved. There really is quite a big mix of different ways that we work with them.
Perfect. And a couple of questions. Let's have a look at those. So firstly, do you want to give a flavour of pricing?
Oh yeah, sure.
In terms of what customers would pay, what you charge for accountants, because again, you talked about the fact that you wanted to deliver services cost effectively, and you certainly do. So tell people how your pricing works.
Okay.
Just so that
I feel like I'm on a sales pitch talking about pricing. No, so pricing. So we really pride ourselves on clear pricing. So our software, if anybody just comes directly to us, so software only would be £2.50 per employee, but it's a minimum of £20 a month. So, if you've got 10 employees, obviously that works out per employee. There are some additional options there. So we do have a recruitment software, which is charged based on the amount of live vacancies at the time of invoicing. All invoicing is done monthly, and it's a monthly rolling contract. So we don't do anything with long tie-ins. So the idea is we want to keep delivering such a brilliant service that you guys never want to leave. So and that works quite well for us, actually. So yeah, so we don't believe in for our service a long-term tie-in. So everything is on a monthly rolling contract. So it's £2.50 per employee per month for software. For the support, it's £8 per employee per month plus a £50 fixed fee. With that, you get the software as well. So if you've got one employee, so you've got somebody who's taking on their first employee, it'll be £58 a month. And with that, but then having said that, obviously, if you've got 10 employees, then what is that math? £130 a month. I'm not the accountant. I'm not. But yeah, so, and like I say, so with the support, you get the software with it as well. So that's all built in. Yes, so that's the pricing. So
And just to clarify, just so we make sure everyone
yes,
gets this, and that's for an HR service
correct.
as well. So that's helplines, and if
Yeah.
somebody wanted an employment contract, is that included in the fee? Is that charged extra?
Yeah. So what happens is you get employment contracts, all of your policies, your employee handbook, if that's already in place. So if you've got clients who have those things, we can check them, make sure that they're still legally compliant, and suggest any changes that we think might be beneficial, etc. All of that is done by our employment law specialists. We've got 2 in-house employment lawyers who are so up to date, it's quite terrifying on employment law. But so that's all included. You've got unlimited telephone and email support with that, so during working hours. So there's a telephone number you can call. If your client's got 7 or more employees, they'll get a designated consultant as well. They don't have to speak to them if they're chilled about it, but they'll have somebody who really gets to know their business. And that's one of the things. It's going back to what you were saying earlier, Will, actually, about that human business. We really thrive on that. You know, we're not a call center. Our people really get to know our customers. They get to understand the challenges that they're facing. We've got quite a good sized team, quite a big HR team, and between them, their breadth of experience is unbelievable. If you've got a random industry that you work with, I say random, but I mean a niche industry, we've probably got somebody who's worked in that before. So so you get all of the HR advice, employment law contracts, employment contracts, policies, anything you need really. So if you need any kind of contract amendments or any letters, help with disciplinary, it's all included in the price. The only thing that isn't, and is a fixed fee on top, is a settlement agreement. And that is a fixed fee as and when needed. But yeah, it really is all included. What we do is we do monthly legal updates for everybody as well. So everybody who gets the support, the service side of things, will always get a monthly update with any legal updates. And if that impacts any policies or contracts, then we'll always come to the customer and make those suggestions of what should change.
Yep. So they're the prices that people will pay buying direct. What's the deal for accountants?
So it depends on the offer, on the partnership that you go for. So it does vary slightly, but you'll get at least a 10% discount for your customers for the software, and you will get the software free, as you mentioned earlier, Will. So all of our partners get the software completely free. They also get a 30% discount on our HR support. So if you did want to use it for yourselves, that would be the offer available to you. For your customers, you'd have that discount, so that 10%. What we find is it varies. So referral, obviously, that's kind of black and white, that's 10%. Powered by Citrus, it is the same, but we obviously you would invoice. And white label, we have a variety of different customers who offer white label, and because we're not involved technically, they charge what they'd like, but that's what we would charge you. So we would charge the set fee, so the £2.50 per employee per month, for example, if it was for the software, less your discount, and that's how we would invoice.
Yeah,
yours will always be free if you're referring people, if you're bringing clients over.
Yeah. So just as an example, there, if you've got somebody that's taking on their first employee, generally when that happens, there's real anxiety, real fear of I've got to make sure it's all right. For about £700 a year, you can give somebody a helpline, the software they need to manage it, and you are up and running. And of course, you can choose to put a margin on that in addition to the discount that you'd get as a Citrus partner. So when you start to think about peace of mind, and you can say, look, it's going to cost you £700 a year, but there is always somebody there to help with any questions you've got. That's really reassuring for somebody that is taking on their first employee. So that's.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Oh, you go, Rachel.
One of our customers, once I was having a chat with somebody, and he was saying to me, he described it as an insurance service, as an insurance for himself, and he said, You know, I think he's been with us for about 7 years. And he said, I think I've called your HR line twice. He said, but I won't ever cancel it because it is like having an insurance policy. He said, you know, there's always somebody there to make sure he's staying legally compliant with everything. And he's one of the lucky ones, never had really any employment issues or anything like that. But it does happen, and it does give you peace of mind. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And of course you work on the basis that everyone's going to be delighted with what you get, and they stay. But the reality is, it is a month's notice. So even if people want that comfort initially to get set up, the option's there, but they're going to love what they get and they're going to stay. We know that anyway, but just kind of making that point that there are options to get the support you need to get these things up and running. Excellent. Another question, probably for Paula. So Sam's asked, what kind of size customers do Farnell Clarke have that require HR functions on a retainer basis? I guess that's quite a mixed bag.
It is a mixed bag, yeah. I mean, we have some clients that I think have around about 10 staff, sort of around about that basis. But there's one we're kind of currently, it's a new client that we're kind of bringing on board, and they basically, this will be one that I think we probably end up working with Citrus on and setting that up for them, because at the moment they don't have any HR system, and the owner of the company is getting bogged down with simple little things like people asking how much holiday they've got and stuff like that, which is wasting their time having to then look it up manually and stuff like that. Whereas if they had a system like that, it's a no-brainer. The employees have all got access to that information, their payroll information straight away. So that's a sort of smaller one. One of the larger clients that we've got on a retainer basis is around, they're a multinational company. So they have employees in the UK, employees in Taiwan, America, I think Africa as well. So that they're global basically, but we support their HR services for the UK bit. So that's sort of predominantly what we do. And I think in the UK, they've got around about 90 staff based in the UK. But it does vary. We have some slightly larger, some companies that approach us, and like Will said, they're literally just starting out, so they're maybe going to only have about 2 people to start with, but it's got scope to grow. And I think one of our Citrus clients has only 3 staff, but they still use it. Like I say, it is easier for them to kind of see all their information and have everything they need, sort of starting out really.
It's great for audit trails as well. So that's one thing we found with a lot of industries. They need those audit trails, and having the software in place just gives you that, doesn't it? It's just all done.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because it's got, they can access everything, like their contracts, everything, can't they? So it is from the sort of, basically, as soon as you bring someone on board, it's got everything, hasn't it? All their processes, probations, and then you can go on to appraisals, performance reviews, training records, everything. So there's a lot of scope to have everything in one place, which is nice. Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know if you find this, Paula, but a lot of our customers, it really varies what they use. Some people use every single element of the software, and some just use it for holiday or expenses. Yeah. So it is really varied, but
it is totally.
But yeah, I suppose every business is different. So.
Absolutely, I think, and we sort of try and remind our clients that there are other bits they can kind of use as well, I think, because I think, like you say, that there's so much scope to it that you kind of have to go, you can do that on there as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. I'm just looking at my agenda points here, making sure we've covered everything off. So we've touched on kind of why we should be interested in HR services. It's another opportunity for us to get closer to our clients, deliver added value to our clients. We've talked about how we went about launching it in Farnell Clarke and our current approach, what we're doing now. Rachel's touched on some of the ways that other firms are working with Citrus particularly. So we've touched on the fact that payroll is the obvious start. It's not the only start point, but certainly you are already kind of working with these clients around payroll. And you're ready to roll. You can talk to those clients about the services that you can support. it's really easy to just say, hey, look, do you have an employee handbook in place? There's easy conversations for your payroll team to be having to pass on, even around the software point. So just looking at the software, and again, if we focus on I think what I really like about the fact Citrus will give you the software for yourself is it gives you a chance to use it, see the value, because then you can confidently say to a client, look, we use this piece of software to manage our team's annual leave, performance management. Would you like to have a look at it? It's a really easy conversation to have that just starts the ball rolling and gets people thinking about HR. So much of the things that I wrote about in the last book is starts with what do we know about our clients? So do you know how your clients are dealing with their HR headaches? Do you know kind of what they're using in the background to manage their holiday leave? Because the likelihood is it's a spreadsheet. So until we start having those conversations, we just don't know how we can help. So step one with all of this stuff is have some conversations with your clients. Marketing this kind of offering is really, really straightforward, because you haven't got to go out and find new clients. You've got a ready-made client base for this type of service already. You're already talking to them. You're already delivering services to them. So dead easy to start with payroll. It's a really easy process for you to start marketing this as an offer to your clients. Rachel's talked about how Citrus HR works with accountants and bookkeepers to provide tools. So far we're good. So if anybody has any other...
Will, is that right? So just you were touching on marketing then. I think it's a really important point to raise. It is easy to market it, exactly as Will said, but the reality is what we found with a lot of our partners is they're so busy running their own business that it can be overwhelming to think of the things that they need. So that was, I don't know, go as far as say a mistake, but it was an error, I think, a little bit of an error for us when we first started doing this. So what I've been doing over the past few years is really looking at how we can help our partners capitalize on that. So we give all of our partners a marketing pack. So with kind of branded brochures, you can have access to demo videos, you can have email content. Every month we put some new content on our site, on a special partner page of the site, so that you can access. So the idea is what we're trying to do is really help make your life easier with it. We've done webinars with partners. Here we are, but other webinars for their clients and things like that. So it's a real mixed bag. And the idea is, what we don't want is you getting bogged down with thinking about how do I market HR to my customers and then not doing it because it's just you've got too much on your plate, right? So we're trying to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So we do really, really work hard to support you with that as well. And it's really nice to see Paula nodding.
Yeah, we've used those marketing materials. So I've used them.
Brilliant. So yeah, so I just thought I'd flag that.
Yeah, no, definitely, and thank you for doing that. And I think that we work with Citrus, so we get this. And I think that when vendors talk about accountancy partnerships, there's a scale in terms of like it's a very loose term to the fact that it is a genuine partnership, and our relationship with Citrus is very much at the genuine partnership end of that scale, and it feels like a genuine partnership, and I think that's really important. So yes, you can get the support that you need. The marketing material is there, but again, it's a kind of like the webinar example, quarterly HR updates. It's a dead easy thing that regardless of whether you're delivering services, it's just added value that you're delivering to your clients. Conscious we're getting towards the 45 minutes, so I'm going to start the process of wrapping up here. I always like to leave some key takeaways. So if you take nothing else away from today's session, these are the things that I need you to take away. So first of all, HR is a perfect value add to all of your payroll and accounting clients. So Karen, you'll see that I'd already picked that up. Regardless of whether they're payroll clients or not, we are providing services to our clients. This is a perfect value add to what you're already doing. Citrus can provide a technical capability for you, and I've said to provide an investment-free entry into HR services because it is for you. You can get the free account, you can get the partner tools, you can then start to talk to your client. So the only investment you need to make is in your own time to have those conversations with your clients, which, let's face it, we should be doing that anyway. There are opportunities to easily market to your existing clients, creating stickiness to your firm. What I mean here is I have the same conversations when I talk to people about using technology. The more dependent our clients are on you, the higher the barriers to exit. So if it's just a case of they've just got to go and find accounting services somewhere else, that's easy. But if they've got to find accounting services, they've got to find people that can support the tech that they've got used to using. They've got to find somebody that can support them with the HR stuff that you've been delivering for them. It's much harder. Now, I'm not one for saying we want to shackle clients and make sure they can't leave. But if we're delivering the value, when things don't always go right, and they don't always go right, sometimes things happen and it's beyond our control, clients are going to be more forgiving if they're more dependent on you. So this is a way to create more stickiness with the clients that you work with. And in case I haven't mentioned it, you can get a free Citrus HR account for your own firm. And that's something that I really think you should do. And just to make that a little bit easier for you all, we've got a QR code here. So what you need to do, if you want to take advantage of the offer here, I say an offer, it's like an offer that's always there. So it's not a special offer. It is just the fact that Citrus love working with accountants and bookkeepers, and want to partner with you. So the lovely Sophia, who isn't with us today, would just have a conversation with you, get the information she needs to get you set up. But if you want to take a shot at the QR code here, that will provide you a link to Sophia's diary, and you can book in a slot and get your account set up. We will also include that in the follow-up email. So everybody that's attended today will get an email with the recording, so you can watch it back because you enjoyed it so much. But we'll put the link in the email for you as well. So Rachel and Paula, any things to add on key takeaways while I just make sure we've got no more questions and stuff in the box here?
I think for me, I would just say that we really do love working with accountants and bookkeepers, as you said, Will, because it's just the synergy is fantastic. You know, we're really, really keen to help you succeed at this. It's not a one and done. It's not going to be a, oh, you've signed up, great, okay, bye. You know, that's not how we work at all. And we work differently with almost every one of our partners because everybody wants something slightly differently, slightly different. So what I would say is it's worth getting in touch, having a chat with Sophia, who's our partner account manager. Unfortunately, she's not well today, which is why she couldn't be here. Otherwise, I'm sure she would have shouted and said hello. But she'll talk you through it. She'll give you some information. It's absolutely no pressure, and you can see if it's going to work for you, if you think it'll work for you or not. And you know, it's no harm giving it a try. So yeah,
perfect. Paula, any final questions, comments from not questions? You're not the one asking the questions. Any final comments?
Yeah, just something Rachel touched on. I would say definitely sign up, but also once you've got it, do spend a little bit of time just getting to know it and really seeing what it can do, because I think that then helps with referrals. I've not been, I think I've been with Farnell Clarke for 3 months, but I know it pretty well. And it's an intuitive system. It's not difficult to get to know. So when I say take the time, you don't need to invest a huge amount of time, but just literally have a play with it, you know, get to know all the different elements and stuff like that. Because then as soon as a client says something, it will trigger that in your, you know, in your mind to think, actually, this would help them do this, do X, Y, and Z and stuff like that.
Perfect. Excellent. So we are at time. I know that everybody is extremely busy, particularly given it's end of month. So if you are payroll professionals and you're running payrolls today, I'm very, very sorry for putting a payroll stroke HR session on month end. But thank you so much for taking time out to join us. If you're watching the recording, thank you for watching the recording after you've done the payroll. But everything we've said is equally relevant to you watching it on demand. Nicola's already done her payroll. You see, that's what you want, isn't it?
Nicola's organised.
No last minute payrolls there. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Paula and Rachel, for your hugely valuable contributions. You'll all get the recording, you'll get the QR code in an email later on today. So enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you on another webinar very soon. So thank you again, Rachel, Paula. Thanks everyone. Have a great day. See you all soon.
Thanks, Will.
Bye.
Bye.